A couple of hours ago, Kuro Games teased the characters coming in LAHAI-ROI, as well as a short teaser trailer, so I want to discuss them in today's video and give you my opinions on each character. First, I want to talk a bit about the teaser trailer. The name was Space Trek Collective Star Torch Academy. I'm pretty sure it was already mentioned in the Chisa quest that the academy is called Star Torch Academy, but I haven't played it yet, so I wouldn't know. So we already know that the main setting of LAHAI-ROI seems to be an academy, which obviously brings either school-based vibes, which would make sense with Chisa's outfit, or what I would prefer, and also what this trailer is implying a lot more, which is something science-based. Now, science can either be done very well or very bad. We have a lot of games that have science-y stories that just kind of devolve into yap that is very hard to follow, and while I do think Wuthering Waves is not immune to this, I don't think they're gonna focus too hard on the science part. It's definitely going to be relevant, but I don't think it's going to be the primary crux of the story. I could just be entirely wrong though. They also mentioned space a lot, which is interesting because we've never really looked beyond the world of Solaris before. We've only seen the court of Savante kind of get a peek of this unknown goddess that we saw at the beginning of the game, but outside of that, we've never really ventured beyond the bounds of Solaris. So them mentioning space this much is very interesting to me. Maybe we'll be getting more sneak peeks on what the world outside of Solaris is like, and what we can expect from the wider universe of Wuthering Waves. Maybe we'll even get some PTR references, but I'm asking for a lot there. But now I wanted to talk about each character and give my opinions on their designs. I'm gonna start with Mornye because she was the one who was revealed first. Mornye is... okay, so here's the thing, right? I do really like Mornye's design. She really looks like a scientist, and you know, I was really hoping that they weren't gonna focus on the school vibe that Chisa has. But it seems like Chisa is just a student, and there's a lot more science going on at the Star Torch Academy. Mornye is... I'm sorry, let's look at the elephant in the room here. The legs look insane. I don't know what those legs are specifically, but I know I really like what they look like. The color, the transparency, I know that they're gonna really make this look well on a 3D model, because Wuthering Waves' models have always been really good. And in my opinion, most characters in Wuthering Waves look better in 3D than in 2D. It really seems like they do make these characters with 3D in mind. So I really wonder if they're gonna really do the transparency of her legs justice. But now I want to ask, why does she have special legs? What is she? Did she lose her legs and this is like a scientifical transplant? Or is this an experiment? Or what is happening here? I'm really curious to see what her story is like, because there's just such an obvious thing to point at here and be like, okay, this character is special. But outside of that, I really like the outfit. She does wear a lab coat, but it's not just the standard lab coat. They do have some intricacies in there, preventing it from looking too plain and simple. I really like her eyes as well, and I think her hair looks incredible. Hair is one of the most important things for a character for me, and I really like how she does it. Having the flat ends at the front of her head, but then having it transition into longer hair at the back. I really like what it looks like. And then we get to Lucilla. Lucilla is probably going to be the Goonbait character. That's just my opinion. I think out of all the characters here, she definitely looks like the most stereotypically attractive, I guess I should say. But outside of that, I do still have very good opinions of her. I like the bag. I wonder if she's gonna actually have it on her model or in her idle animations. Probably in her idle animations, to be honest. I really like the hat. I think the hat is one of my favorite parts of the design. I really like the pattern that you can see at the bottom of the rim, but I really wish I could see more of the higher positions of the hat. I want to look at it from above more, because we're mainly going to look at the character from the back when playing them. So ultimately, I want to know what that hat looks like from the back. She gives me very much rich businesswoman vibes. Like she knows what she's doing, and she has her own goals in mind. She kind of reminds me of Jade from Star Rail, which, as you all know, Jade definitely puts her own interests above anyone else's. I really like her hair. I think this deep purple color fading into something more bright and turning almost white. I really like the hair on every single character in LAHAI-ROI so far. I'm a big fan of Lucilla's design, but she doesn't intrigue me as much as Mornye does. And that brings us to the next character, which is Sigrika. Now, I'm gonna say it outright, I think Sigrika is my favorite of the characters that have been revealed so far. Yet again, I'm gonna start looking at the hair because that's one of the most important things for me. I really like the vibrant orange hair color that she has, and her face combined with that hair color really makes me think this is going to be a very joyous character. This character is going to be the one who makes friends with everyone and who sees the best in people. Like, for example, kinda like what Phoebe was in Lucilla, but I do hope she has more depth than Phoebe as a character. I absolutely just love the vibe she gives off. Her outfit is also very interesting, having a very clear dichotomy of two colors, having a more purple pinkish side and then a more white side. Obviously the white is on both sides of the outfit, but on one of them it's covered by this purple pinkish thing. I'm not good with fashion, so I'm not gonna know the names, my banging. I also really like the separate braids she has. It's a very interesting design choice, and while it does look in 2D, I'm a little bit more suspicious on how this one is gonna look in 3D, because they need to be good at both separating the braids, while also making sure that they're not too separate from each other to the point where it looks too wide. So I have some concerns about her 3D model, but her 2D art looks really good. She is currently tied with Lynae for being my favorite of the LAHAI-ROI cast. So yeah, I really like Sigrika, and I'm very interested in seeing more of her. And that's gonna bring us to Luuk. Now, I know that your instinct is to say Luuk, because that's the English way to say it, but with this spelling, I actually think it is pronounced Luuk. Because I am a Western European, I speak a Germanic language, and that's how you say that in Germanic languages. I'm not sure if LAHAI-ROI is going to be based on Germanic European influences, or if Luuk is simply from a different nation, you know, one that we're gonna visit in the future. You know how Mortefi is actually from the New Federation, but he lives in Jinzhou? Yeah, Luuk could be like that. Considering that the Star Torch Academy is a place of research, I can see a lot of people from different nations coming to visit to study there. So it would definitely make sense if he is from a different nation. But that aside, I actually really like this dude's outfit. When I looked at the top of his design, I was very much expecting someone more formal, but the more I looked down, the more I got scientist vibes. So I think there's a very good chance that Mornye and Luuk work together, because they're both scientists. His design, especially near the pants, has a lot of influences of DNA. Like, you see the spiral patterns with the things in between? Yeah, that's DNA. So he might end up being a biologist, which is very interesting. I wonder if he studies the biology of resonators, considering that he is one. So I am actually very interested in seeing more of this guy. The other characters kind of just seemed happy in their art, but Luuk gives me a lot more of a thinking and contemplating look, which would make sense with him being a scientist. But it also gives me an air of being suspicious, like they don't fully trust what's going on around them. Maybe I'm looking too far into it and he is just thinking because funny scientist, but you know, I just like thinking based on stuff like this. And then finally we get to my other favorite design in LAHAI-ROI, being Lynae. Now okay, we don't get to see too much of Lynae in this current artwork of her, because she isn't facing us. She is very much staring at us while walking away. So we don't get to see too much, but what I do see, I'm a big fan of. I really like her hair. I just like blonde characters, man. What can I say? I'm very biased. It's definitely not as yellow as Phoebe's hair, but I am a big fan. It's a much more natural hair color than Phoebe's was, so makes sense. Something I do want to point out is that Lynae and Luuk have very similar hair colors. even with both of their hair fading into green ends. We got Luuk's last name, but we didn't get Lynae's, so maybe the fact that they're family is going to be a bit more of a story-based reveal, although they could also just not be siblings at all and they could have a different type of relationship. I'm not sure. Lynae definitely is a lot closer to the student vibes of Chisa, but it's not as standard as Chisa's. She very much seems like a rule breaker type character, someone who knows the rules but doesn't respect them. But one detail I really like about her outfit is something that you can subtly see in the jacket that she's carrying behind her. The inner part of her jacket has a very interesting mix of colors, so it seems to me that Lynae is going to be a very colorful character, and while we're not going to see it too much on her design, it very much is there. I get some sort of delinquent vibe from her, someone who doesn't really respect the rules and kind of just brings out her own rules to judge people by. So I am very interested in seeing where her character goes, and I'm very excited to see when these characters release. Now, I would like to remind everyone that during the original drip marketing for Renacita, we did not get the reveal of Cardothea until in-game, and I think we're doing something similar with LAHAI-ROI, because just like Renacita, we got 5 characters revealed. So I do believe that the Sentinel Resonator is going to be kept from us until we actually see them in-game. But those are just my thoughts on the new LAHAI-ROI teaser. Let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, if you have any questions, be sure to join my Discord down in the description. And if you just want to see more of me, you can also check out my second channel, which is also linked in the description. But that'll be all from me. Peace.